Okay, so today we're going to talk about graphing quadratic relations. One of the easiest quadratic relations you can graph looks like this. And so I'm using Desmos to graph it, but if I had just a piece of graph paper and a pencil, how would I do that? I would make a table of values. Okay, so if I wanted to make a table of values for this, I have an x column, a y column, and I might choose values from -5 to +5. And to calculate the y value, I would take the x value, so a4, and I would square it. I'm going to take this value and square it. You can see that it's yellow. I'm going to take all the values and square them. These are x and y coordinates, and you can see that they fall on this curve. So what if we have a relation that has maybe 3x squared? So if we put a 3 in there, it has an effect on the graph. What effect did it have on the graph? So there's it without, and there it is with. What does that actually do to the table of values? So if we were making a table of values to graph it, what does that actually do? So in this case, our y value is going to take the x, so d4, and it's going to square it, and then it's going to multiply it by 3. So first it squares it, then it multiplies it by 3. The spreadsheet is smart enough to do these in the right order of operations. Now, the question is, what happened to the y value? What is the pattern between these numbers? What change occurred to the y values? Because all the x values are the same. We're looking for patterns. So we multiplied by 3. What if we added 5, for example? 5. What effect did that have to the parabola? The parabola didn't change shape, but it moved. What effect would that have on the table of values? So we're going to square that number. And then we are going to add 5 to it. Look at these y values and look at these y values. What is the pattern? How did they change? And how did that change the graph? You can see that the vertex is in a different spot. It's at 0, 5 now. Before, the vertex was at 0, 0. So instead of putting a 3, we could put a variable there. And now that we have a variable and we've made a slider for it, I can change the value of the variable and see how it changes the graph. I'm making A bigger and bigger. What's happening to the graph as I make A larger and larger? If I go less than 1.6, what's happening to it? What happens if I go below 0? I can do the same thing with K, and I can see how the graph changes as the slider changes. You're going to do the same thing in Desmos and in Google Sheets. I can even change both of them at the same time if I want to. So I can change the shape, and I can move the vertex up and down. So all we're doing is we're looking for patterns.